Hi, I'm Gary, a Hoosier woodworker, and welcome to my shop. This episode covers the making of a Thien dust collector. Now, why make one? Why add a second stage to your dust collection? Well, the first reason is that the large particles that could damage your impeller blades will fall harmlessly into the trash can because of the Thien baffle. The second reason is the filter bag that is in your dust collector fills up very fast. This reduces the amount of vacuum. The Thien Dust Baffle eliminates about 95% of this sawdust, so therefore you can have a higher vacuum for a longer period of time. And lastly, but not least, it also eliminates about 95% of the dust that goes into that bottom bag. And we all know how difficult it is to change that bottom bag and how much easier it is just to empty a trash can. Now, I'd like to thank all my fellow woodworkers on Lumberjocks for their pictures of their baffles. This led to my inspiration to make this. Now, there will be a loss of vacuum by putting this into your system. I tried to compensate for this by tricking out my dust collector. I made another video on this, so please feel free to view the video on tricking out the Harbor Freight dust collector. Let's begin now on the construction. I used my homemade circle cutter to cut the circles in 1/2-inch plywood. There's 3 circles to be cut. The first one is the top, shown here. The next one is the bottom, shown here. Now it has the notch in it that the sawdust falls through. There's also a sub-bottom that supports the bottom and also has a notch in it that fits in the lid of the can. So here you can see the sub-bottom sitting on the can. If you flip the sub-bottom over, you can see how the notch will fit in the can. Here we go, we're gluing the sub-bottom to the bottom using plenty of clamps. Now, I've looked over the internet, and basically there are no plans for this as far as plans having dimensions. However, there are a few things that did come out. One thing is the notch is typically 1.5 inches for the size that I'm building, and all of them seem to have the notch going for 240 degrees. The top needs to have the connection to the vacuum drilled. Now, I'm using a 4-inch PVC coupling. However, there's a notch in it, so I ground the notch down just to avoid air resistance. I use my radial drill press because of the increased depth that is needed, and drilled a 5-inch hole in the center of it. I also drilled another 5-inch hole in a blank piece of wood and secured that blank piece of wood to the flange using a screw. The coupling is put on the top and caulked from the bottom. Also, I've taped it off so that I can apply varnish to the top and the bottom so that it has a nice smooth finish. I cut a 6.5-inch wide strip of polycarbonate that was 1/8 of an inch thick and fitted in to the 1/8-inch dado that I had used my circle jig with. Here is the top being installed, and you can see there is a chute that has a missing piece here, and so we put the missing piece in and reinforced it with a block. Began caulking. I made a support for the 4-inch flange that will serve to connect 2 4-inch flexible hose as the inlet to the unit. I painted it, masking it out, and applied supports around the edge to keep the unit together. Well, the paint's finally dry and I set it on the trash can. It's finished and ready for testing. Well, the results are in, and it looks like about 1 cup of sawdust. I'm very happy with the results. So here's the sawdust in the can. So I decided to vacuum all the sawdust out of the table saw. Here it is in the can, and here's what's in the bag.